I'll just see how things go without a lawyer for my case at the asylum office, and if I get sent to immigration court, well, I'll hire a lawyer for that part of the process. So that's the approach that many asylum seekers who have a case pending with the immigration agency USCIS take. They for some reason think that the stakes are somehow low, such that they don't need a lawyer, and well, they'll just hire one later if they get a negative decision and their case is sent over to the immigration court where the government is trying to deport them. And this approach, my friends, is dangerous. I'm going to explain to you in this video why you do, in fact, need a lawyer for your asylum case with USCIS. Actually, it's critical to winning your case. I'm Brian Manning, and I used to be an asylum officer with the government, but now as an asylum lawyer, well, I help immigrants all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum. Let me know in the comments if you've got an asylum case pending, or maybe you're considering applying, and I'd especially like to hear from you if you've been waiting for an asylum interview for multiple years. All right, there's this interesting phenomenon, this certain way of thinking that says, I know that if I don't have success at my asylum interview with USCIS, well, I'll get a second chance to explain my case in immigration court. So, this stuff at the asylum office, well, it really isn't that big of a deal. I don't think I really need a lawyer now for my process with USCIS. I'll just hold off, and if I get sent to court, well, then I'll probably get a lawyer at that time. Listen, this is not a smart approach if you truly want to give yourself the best possible chance for winning your asylum case. And there are a few reasons why you should go all in, why you should make every effort to win your case now at the asylum office, rather than treating it as just some kind of stopping point on the way to immigration court. First, you need to understand just how risky it is to end up in immigration court. When I explain this to people, it sometimes changes their thinking, causing them to take the asylum office process much more seriously. You see, being in immigration court is, well, bad. It means that the US government is actively trying to deport you. Yes, you do get a chance to present your case to the judge, and yeah, they can give you asylum, but let me be clear. When you're in immigration court, you're on the precipice of possibly receiving a deportation order. And receiving a deportation order is bad because you might actually have to leave the country. You could be deported. Moreover, receiving a deportation order can make it pretty much impossible to ever get any kind of US immigration benefit in the future. So why subject yourself to this risk? Why not do everything possible to try to win your case now at the asylum office so that you don't have to subject yourself to the risk and stress that come with immigration court? And speaking of stress, it is, to be sure, very stressful. As where the asylum office interview is non-adversarial, meaning the asylum officer is not supposed to interrogate you, but rather is meant to be an objective fact finder. Over in immigration court, there's a hostile prosecutor who is trying to make you look bad. They're trying to get you to make mistakes, so the judge will order you deported. It's tough. By the way, if you want to maximize your chances for asylum success, then be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell notification so that you don't miss the insights that I share here on this channel. Okay, time is yet another reason why it makes sense to prioritize your USCIS asylum process. Well, what do I mean by that? It's generally better to have your claim heard sooner rather than later, because the more time that passes between the incidents of harm or threats that you endure in your country and the time that the judge actually makes a decision on your case, the harder it is to win. This is because judges tend to think, well, I understand that you were harmed or maybe threatened, but all that stuff was a long time ago. I'm not really convinced that someone still wants to harm you now after all this time. And if your case gets transferred from the asylum office to the immigration court, well, this stretches out the timeline. You're putting much more time, possibly even years, between the bad things that happen to you in your country and the time the judge will consider your case. So this dynamic bodes in favor of doing everything possible to win your case at the asylum office, because the more time that passes, the less likely you are to win, in my opinion. All right, there's another reason why it's so important to have a lawyer for your asylum case at USCIS. You need to present an excellent case there at the asylum office to increase your chances for success in immigration court. So what does that mean? If you do not have success at the asylum office and your case is sent over to the immigration court, the things that happened at the asylum office can affect you in immigration court. You see, the prosecutor and the judge in court will have access to a copy of all the materials that you submitted to the asylum office and to the notes that the officer took during your asylum interview. And if your case is poorly presented at the asylum office because you didn't have a lawyer helping you, it reflects poorly on you in immigration court. And worse still, the prosecutor will use against you in immigration court anything that you said at the asylum office that doesn't line up with what you say in immigration court. They will scour the notes of the asylum officer and find alleged inconsistencies in your case, and they use those to convince the judge that you're lying about your case. I see this happen all the time. People who didn't have a lawyer at the asylum office are prejudiced in immigration court because they didn't know what they were doing at the asylum office. They didn't have a lawyer for the USCIS asylum office process, so their written materials are a mess, and they didn't do a good job at the interview, and this all comes back to haunt them in immigration court. So in short, you need to present the strongest case possible at the asylum office, not just to give yourself the best chance for success at that stage, but also because it will make it more likely that you'll win your case if it does end up getting sent over to the immigration court. Now, a skilled, experienced asylum lawyer can make a huge difference in your asylum case before USCIS. If you're ready to take the next step and get help with your asylum case, then please call my office today. That number is 713-909-0401. And remember, we help people all over the country, so it doesn't matter where you live. Call us today to schedule an asylum strategy session so that we can discuss your situation with you and help you secure your future in America through asylum. Again, I'm Brian Manning, and it's an honor to serve you in your asylum journey.